Hello my friends, I'm Duchess and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk about my first webtoon experience, how I made my webtoon, what it was about, and what I've learned from it. I'm so excited. Also, I have really terrible allergies today and I might be sniffling throughout the whole entire video, so I'm really sorry about that. Anyway, let's get started. You guys probably don't know this, but The Unexpected Enchantress isn't actually my first webtoon. Many years ago, when I was still a child, I created a short story for a webtoon competition. This was when I was in 8th grade, going to 9th grade. It was during the summer, and I had just gotten into webtoons and was thinking about making my own one day. And so, yeah, it was 5 episodes long, 50 panels each, and yeah, those were the requirements for this webtoon competition, and the rewards were a few $1,000s, I believe. So yeah, I was super confused by all of the terms, and I didn't even have a story, so it was pretty hectic, a hectic experience for me. I wrote a short story romance. It was not the best story, of course, and I made up character designs off the top of my head without thinking about the actual design. So yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about my webtoon and what it was about, because I don't plan on ever making it again, because I only was able to draw up to episode 2 out of the 5 episodes I was supposed to draw. And I deleted the second episode because it was so cringe. I was like, okay, well, I'm never gonna post anyway because the deadline already came around and I only posted the first episode. So silly old me decided to delete the whole thing, and I definitely regret it because I wish I could have gone back to it and looked at it and just seen my first webtoon art. You know, it's just something I should have kept, but it's alright. Anyways, so the main character of this short story romance was Raiden. He grew up pretty much alone. He was raised by his grandma mainly because his dad left them when he was young, when he was a baby, and his mom passed away when he was 6, and yeah, it's that typical tragic main character backstory. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, so yeah, he's all of these things here. And so one day he moves to a different town to get away from all of his depressing, lonely thoughts. Well, his grandma forced him to move somewhere. So they both moved to a different town where he started attending high school, and he met a girl named Leah. And don't ask me why they look the way they look or why their names are their names. I really just came up with it, well, except for Raiden's. But Leah is just somebody I just made up in like 5 minutes. Anyways, so he met Leah, and she was just really the opposite of him. Really bright, bubbly, optimistic, and I don't know, I guess opposites attract, and they just really just fell in love. And don't ask me why they fell in love because I don't even know. They just did. So they fell in love, went to prom together, and they were together for maybe 2 years. I'm not entirely sure because my planning, storyboarding, and script writing was awful. Super terribly awful. Alright, and then the next part was... some of you guys might hate me for this, but the next part is she died. Leah dies because of something that I drew in episode 2, but I don't remember. I don't remember if she died because of a car accident or because of some sickness she magically just got. I don't really know the reason, but I do remember thinking that it would be so annoying if she died because a car hit her, because that's just so... you know what I mean. Anyways, I'm pretty sure that's not how she died, but I'm not 100% sure. But long story short is she died, okay? And so Raiden moves on with his life, and he's a little bit different now because, he's not as pessimistic as he used to be. He met a really kind and sweet girl who kind of just changed the way he thought and the way that he lived his life. So he is a much better person than he was when eventually Raiden and Heather end up falling in love. I think I made Heather a character who attracted a person who just an unlucky person who attracted a lot of bad people into her life, because I know there are people out there, or people I even know, who just naturally attract not the best people, if that makes sense. And it's just kind of like, what are you doing? But it's not really their fault, I guess. Well, it is, but it isn't at the same time. And so she was that kind of person, and she kind of just had a tough life, I suppose. And Raiden just kind of is someone who inspires her to be better, or teaches her real love, I guess you could say. This is so cringy. Anyways, and then I also wanted to draw Leah as the spiritual figure that Raiden always saw. I also drew this in the webtoon because I did draw the barista scene, but yeah, I deleted it. I'm gonna keep reminding myself that I did that. Some of you guys might think it's odd that Leah is encouraging him to meet other people or like talk to Heather, but I think that like if you really love somebody, you would want them to be happy, especially if you're gone, like if you can't be there for them, you would want them to be happy with at least someone else, and I don't know, I just thought that Leah was someone who had a really big heart. After Raiden and Heather get together, Raiden stops seeing Leah around because he doesn't really need her guidance anymore. And so eventually he and Heather get married and they have children of their own, and life is good, you know? So Heather becomes a nurse, and Raiden is somewhat of a writer, and they're just very happy with life, and I never got to draw this part, although I wish I did. But yeah, one night when Raiden is, I don't know, he can't sleep, he thinks about Leah for the first time in a while, and I guess he just is thinking back on the old days, you know? And he sees Leah again for the first time in a long time, and she's happy for him, very happy, and he's happy for himself as well, and he feels a little bit bad that, you know, he moved on and that she wasn't able to live. And so, yeah, so basically she just says it's okay, and she goes to heaven, and then he'll never actually see her again, like ever, because that's just how it is. And this here is kind of the scene that I wanted to draw back then, but I didn't get to. But yeah. Okay, and so the last part in the ending is Raiden he's a writer, right? So he writes this story about Leah and everything that happened, and it becomes a bestseller novel, and he becomes a famous writer. And so that's basically everything that happened, and he's the one who's telling the whole short story that I wrote. So everything was written from his perspective, and it is actually the novel that he wrote, but actually did happen to him in real life. Anyhow, yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing really fancy. Such a basic and cringe story again, but it was also made on a whim and by an 8th grader. So, you know, I guess it's not too bad, and maybe I shouldn't criticize myself too much. If you guys want to read the only episode I ever posted of it and experience extreme cringiness, and yeah, the link will be in the description below. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. But guys, everyone starts somewhere, and that's how I started. Fun fact, guys, the reason I named my characters Raiden and Heather is because their ship name is Hayden, and I love the name Hayden, if you guys didn't already know. Yeah, because Hayden is the name of the ML in my current webtoon. Last, I wanted to talk about what I learned from this experience. I learned what a panel was after doing extensive research. It took me a year or two to actually be certain about what a panel was, but yeah, I figured it out, and that's all that matters. That's why I made that YouTube tutorial on how to make a webtoon that teaches you what a panel is in literally like the first 5 minutes, because it is crazy how hard it was to figure that out. I also learned how hard storyboarding is, how hard telling a story through drawings is, how time-consuming webtoon making is, because I literally got no sleep trying to make it for that deadline, and what I was in for if I really wanted to make an actual webtoon one day. Overall, it was a good experience, and I'm really glad that younger me decided to join the competition. It really gave me the experience that I needed to make my current webtoon, because I think if I had never participated, I might have given up on my current webtoon because I underestimated the workload of a webtoon creator, you know. I definitely did not think it was going to be that difficult or that time consuming when I started this webtoon because of her. Yeah, so I'm really glad I did that because I was fully aware of what I was getting myself into when I started my current webtoon. I also wanted to add that if you are a new creator, it's probably best to start out with a short story so that you can learn and just get that experience. I barely made 2 episodes, maybe 3, which I deleted. But, yeah, that was really tough. I honestly think I should have made another short story webtoon after that instead of my 100+ episode long webtoon right now. But it is what it is, and it's already too late for me to just give it up. So yeah, that is all I have for you guys this week. If you guys enjoyed this week's video or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get notified. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next week.